ABC 10 News at 7 starts now.
It's important for us to make very clear that there is no room for hate in the city of San Diego.
Local leaders coming together to combat bigotry toward the Asian Pacific Islander community. Good evening. I'm Kimberly Hunt.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. As our ABC 10 News reporter Rena Nakano explains, city leaders are urging the community to speak up and report any incidents that appear to be a hate crime.
Between 2017 and 2019, there were 0 hate crimes toward the AAPI community here in San Diego. But since the pandemic began, DA Summer Stephan says there have been 3 felony cases. She says that's 3 too many. Since last week, San Diego Police Department officers have started doing safety walks in predominantly Asian American and Pacific Islander communities, such as Little Saigon, Mid-City, and Convoy District. This is in response to the increase in hate crimes toward the AAPI community around the country. District Attorney Summer Stephan says a hate crime is a crime done with a bias against a race, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, gender, or disability. A hate incident, while not a crime, is something we see many times in the form of First Amendment speech. She says it may be hateful, hurtful, and disgusting, but it is something that does not amount to a crime. However, she, like Mayor Todd Gloria and Police Chief Nizlight, are urging folks to report hate incidents no matter how small.
By doing search warrants, by checking open source social media, by working those cases, they're able to stop violence from happening before it happens.
Next week, officers will be doing community walks in Linda Vista and Mira Mesa. I'm Rena Nakano, ABC 10 News.
And turning now to coronavirus, SeaWorld is getting ready to reopen its rides for the first time in more than a year. It's been operating as a zoo because of strict coronavirus capabilities and restrictions. But as ABC 10 News reporter Mimi Alcala explains, that will all change next week.
The rides were moving at SeaWorld San Diego Thursday, employees testing them out, gearing up to allow Californians back on.
We are so excited to be able to get these rides rolling again.
In the orange tier, amusement parks can operate at 25% capacity, up from the 15% that was allowed in the red tier. Visitors have already been enjoying SeaWorld, but only as a zoo.
So back in late August, we made a decision to open as a zoo and provide that experience to our guests.
For the first time in more than a year, it'll return to being a theme park on Monday. Popular roller coasters and rides like Electric Eel, Tentacle Twirl, and many more will no longer be off limits.
And then in the Ocean Explorer area, we're opening Aqua Scout. In Bay of Play, we're opening Elmo's Flying Fish and Abby's Sea Star Spin.
The park's president, Marilyn Hannes, says they brought back many employees and will be hiring a lot more for both part-time and full-time positions. And also starting Monday, SoCal residents can purchase a pass for $9 a month that'll include unlimited visits for a year and 50% off parking. The California Department of Public Health says unless there are extenuating circumstances like a low rate of people getting vaccinated, counties will only move back to more restrictive tiers if hospitalizations are increasing significantly and both COVID-19 testing positivity and adjusted case rates show a concerning increase in transmission.
I don't think we're going to take a big step back. I'm very optimistic this will keep getting better by June. So I see us hiring a lot of people.
Mimi Alcala, ABC 10 News.
SeaWorld says it's following all COVID-19 health and safety guidelines, including sanitizing stations, temperature checks, and social distancing markers. There won't be any signs telling people they can't scream on rides, but masks are required at all times.
The county reported 300 new cases today, while our test positivity rate held steady at 2%. Another 4 San Diegans have died from coronavirus, bringing our total to just under 3,600. The vaccination superstation at the Del Mar Fairgrounds will be closed for the next 3 days. Lower than expected vaccine deliveries forced this site to close yesterday as well. Patients with appointments on the days canceled should be automatically rescheduled through the My Turn online system. And as new variants continue to emerge, the leading vaccine makers are beginning to test booster shots. They're experimenting with a range of approaches. Our ABC 10 News anchor Derek Stahl goes in depth on the 4 leading strategies.
All of the U.S. vaccines are effective against severe COVID-19, but studies are showing they're somewhat less effective against certain variants, particularly the one discovered in South Africa. That variant has mutations that allow it to escape a number of the antibodies generated by the vaccines. So Pfizer, Moderna, and J&J are responding, and you could call their first strategy a basic booster. It's the exact same formula given one extra time. A third shot in the case of Pfizer and Moderna.
That has the advantage of simplicity.
Dr. Alessandro Setti of the La Jolla Institute for Immunology says it's the easiest approach to test and manufacture, and the idea is to have strength in numbers.
Basically, you can stop a virus by starting your immunity at a much higher level.
Even though the variants can dodge some of the antibodies, the concept is to simply boost the total number of antibodies. Pfizer projects it'll increase 10 to 20-fold with one more shot. But the timing of that booster will be key, says Dr. John Bradley of Rady Children's Hospital.
Theoretical possibility that if I get a booster of that same vaccine, especially within a fairly short period of time, I'll have an even stronger reaction.
The companies are experimenting with boosters given 6 to 12 months later. The second strategy is called a strain-adapted vaccine. This is when scientists come up with a new recipe specifically for a variant.
The fact that we can take an mRNA vaccine and just immediately reprogram it with a new variant is an interesting concept, and I think is one of the major innovations in terms of vaccine development.
Pfizer, Moderna, and J&J are all working on shots with recipes tailored to the spike protein in the South Africa variant. But what if a country gets hit with a different variant or the virus mutates again? Moderna and J&J are testing a third strategy called a multivalent booster. This one is a blend, like an Arnold Palmer, where scientists mix the original vaccine with an updated recipe in one shot.
That's what we get for influenza each year. Influenza changes, mutates, and so we need new vaccines each year. And what we do is we pick the most prevalent strains that are likely to circulate, and we put those in the current vaccine for that upcoming season.
The downside is that a multivalent shot can be more complicated to make and test, and for now, Pfizer is not pursuing it. The fourth strategy is the most experimental and probably the farthest off, what Dr. Setti calls the Spike Plus approach.
Spike is really the best target for neutralizing antibodies, but there are several other proteins.
Some companies, like Gritstone Oncology in California, want to make a vaccine that goes after multiple spots on the virus, not just the spike protein that all of the current shots are based on.
Other parts of the virus may be less easy for a virus to mutate.
Whatever the strategy, vaccine makers are hoping to have the first booster shots authorized and ready by the summer in case they're needed. Derek Stahl, ABC 10 News.
Stay on top of any new developments with coronavirus by downloading the 10 News app. A free version is available in the App Store.
New developments. There's been an arrest for a deadly hit and run in La Mesa. In February, 18-year-old Joseph Jock was hit and killed by a car on Bancroft Drive and left lying in the street. La Mesa police released these surveillance images of a white Ford pickup seen in the area. Today, they announced they arrested 61-year-old Scott Satterfield yesterday at a Mission Valley hotel. He is now in jail on a felony count of hit and run. A long chase in the South Bay ended peacefully this afternoon. A man suspected of threatening someone with a gun led officers on a nearly 2-hour slow-speed chase over surface streets and freeways. Came to an end when the unidentified man pulled into the parking lot of an apartment complex on 3rd and Moss and got blocked in by unmarked enforcement vehicles and police cars.
The severe lack of rain this season is leading to worries about fire danger as the weather warms up. Today, Governor Gavin Newsom agreed to a deal with the legislature to spend more than $500 million to speed up major wildfire projects. That includes some in San Diego County. Newsom says the state will increase the number of firefighters, planes, and helicopters.
There's a new reality. If you don't believe in climate change, you don't believe in science, you believe your own damn eyes.
The plan also includes money for grants to landowners to help them make their property more resilient against wildfires. And Highway 1 in Big Sur is expected to reopen by April 30th. That's nearly 2 months ahead of schedule. The scenic highway has been closed since January 28th, when that heavy rain triggered a landslide that ripped a chunk of the road into the sea. Crews began to fill the canyon below with heavy dirt in early March. They're expected to establish the base of a new road, then pave and stripe it by the end of the month.
Investigators now believe a deadly house fire in Mountain View was a murder-suicide. 3 people died in last week's fire at South 38th Street. Today, investigators revealed gasoline was used to start the fire. Police have identified 2 of the victims as 44-year-old Katia Valdivia and her 26-year-old son Angel. The 3rd person is still being identified. Police are looking into what roles each individual played in the fire.